having a slice of pizza once a week is not, it's good. There's no problem in that, right? But if you're going to order in every day, then that's a problem. I mean,
You spend 10 times as much or maybe 20 times as much on social media.
No, or just scrolling Netflix and checking कि मुझे आज क्या देखना है. What do I have to
That's what I was actually about to say at that point, that you actually pay more attention to what series or movie that you'd want and have a strong opinion on that than you would into what you put into your body.
You're tuned into the Alpha Coach podcast.
You know, we've heard this time and again. What you eat is what you will become. But the moment we hear the word diet, diet is equal to deprivation. A lot of people feel that.
Yeah.
I have felt that personally. Let me just speak for myself. Diet is equal to sacrifice. And diet can be scary. All right.
Yeah.
And I know this, you sense it, I sense it. I think the world also listening to us right now feel diet. I think I'm going to miss out on the best. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the best right now, this very moment. My name is Glenn Saldana. This is the Alpha Coach podcast. I'm a radio host and a podcaster. We've got Ketan, the founder and CEO of Alpha Coach, and we've got co-founder and chief product officer Vishnu with us. Welcome, guys.
hi,
Thank you
Glenn.
so much,
Hi,
Glenn.
You know, Vishnu, the moment I say diet, diet to a lot of people is deprivation. What's your take on it, man?
So people have this belief system that maintaining some sort of dietary control means being slave to a diet and being able to eat everything that they want anytime that they want is like freedom, right? And so because of this belief, people relate the word diet to deprivation. But you know what we need is more of a mindset switch where you realize that when you're not in control of your diet, that means your emotions and circumstances are in control of you. That small switch is all you need. And diets need not be extremely restrictive, right? And the more the walls or boundaries that you create around your diet, the less sustainable it is for most people, right? So it is about eating or making the best choices most of the times, and once in a while it's okay to eat what you like or eat what you like all the time in moderation, and not let your emotions and circumstances take control of your decision making on what you eat.
So technically, having a good diet is where you're fueling your system and not depriving yourself of a good experience.
Yeah.
So diet is not deprivation per se,
Yeah.
but if you don't have a good meal plan, or if you don't have the right food and the right fuel, then you deprive yourself of the greatest experiences. What the food? just too philosophical right now.
Yeah.
Ketan, bro, what's your take on this, bro? I mean, in terms of, I still feel somewhere there is a sacrifice involved. There is a little bit of, I'm going to have to hold back. I get what he said. I get what Vishnu said about
Right.
food and diet. But what's your take on this?
Yeah, so I think the sacrifice and the feeling of deprivation are, I think, all up here, right? You need to firstly understand that, you know what, if you actually have the ability to choose your foods,
Okay.
you should be grateful for that. The ability to make these kind of choices, the ability that someone cooks for you, the ability to being able to afford that kind of food, to even have the time to think about, you know what, I'm going to start making healthier choices. That itself in itself should be like, you know what, that's good. I actually have that capability. So
It's a privilege.
It's a
privilege.
privilege.
And
It's
we
not
forget
something
that,
you
huh?
have to do.
Yeah.
We often forget that. I liked what you
Yeah.
said, and just hit me saying that I have the choice to choose
Yeah.
the food I will eat, or if I don't like this, maybe I can choose a different meal, and I have that
Right.
privilege, and that's
Yeah,
such a
so
big
it's
privilege.
not that it's thrust upon you, but also a choice that you're making. So then the next question is, are you depriving yourself? Am I depriving myself because I'm eating clean or not drinking alcohol, or not eating all the fun pizzas and all the cool all the cool food that's out there? The other thing that you need to understand is that you actually eat more nutrient dense foods when you start eating clean. Each salad maybe will have a lot of proteins, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sugars, even with some sauces, and all the required nutrients that you need probably in that. Or even if it's not a salad, it could be just rice and chicken or rice and paneer or whatever meal that you could be eating. And that is far more filling than, say, grabbing 3 slices of pizza, right? And if you typically go for junk foods or things that are easily available just just by opening any app, what typically tends to happen is that you easily go over on all your calories, and then you start saying, diet's not for me, and this is not for me, and that's not for me. So the idea is that if you just think about these things slightly more thoughtfully, be a little more intelligent and smart about it,
Yeah.
we all know what they are.
Yeah.
You know what is better for you between two choices at any meal, at a party or a buffet or at home. And if you just start making those intelligent choices, then it doesn't feel like deprivation anymore. It feels like you made the right choice.
More than deprivation, your understanding of the whole diet funda is more like an investment. It's not deprivation. It's basically investment. Eating clean, all of this.
Yeah.
Obviously, because then you're fueling your body correctly. You are able to take better decisions. You're able to live a very healthy life. You're able to sustain better habits by changing. Because generally, we've always heard this, right? जो आप खाओगे वैसा आप बनोगे.
Yeah, but I mean, food and diet and nutrition is all part of doing something that's, what you're doing something to achieve a certain goal.
Right, right.
Then by that nature, studying when you had exams could be called depriving yourself of play.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Working on a deadline, at your work could be depriving of yourself of parties that your friends are going to. So everything you have to do what's required for that particular job to get done. It's the job to be done. You need to do what it takes. And I think
And
that's...
how do you define deprivation again? I mean, in the past decade, the access to hyperpalatable food has gone very high, right? Now you got Swiggy and Zomato where you can just order in whatever you want, and your decision making is always on a split second. Okay, I'll have a pizza. You have access to a pizza. Earlier it was not like that, right? Just now, since going a little off topic, now we are in a phase where we are through a big pandemic, right? And just look at this from this perspective, right? Because of the advancement in medical science, the life expectancy of the people have gone like from maybe at least by 20 years in the past 50 years of medical development, right? But at the same time, you should look at it from in the last 10 years, the activity levels of the people have gone down, right? Your access to hyperpalatable food has gone down. Now, if you are not conscious about your decision making on food, and if you're relying on your willpower and stuff like that, are you saying that you are relying on being healthy and living longer only on the medical system, and are you taking no responsibility over what do you put in?
Onus of what you put into your system.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and what is deprivation? Having a slice of pizza once a week is not. It's good. There's no problem in that, right? But if you're going to order it every day, then that's a problem. I mean,
And then you call that deprivation. I can't order it every
every
day.
day. Then that becomes
So just to give you another maybe completely random example is that if you watch TV or your screen, and if most of the time you're sitting and binge watching series or comedies or reality shows versus watching an episode on the weekend or watching a movie on the weekend or watching something fun on the weekend, while the majority of your content is documentaries and something you're learning, which of these two people would you think will be better informed, probably more successful, and something that will elevate slightly more in life, right? It's the same thing about what Vishnu just said about how many times it's about making conscious choices. It's about doing what's right for you. And we all know what that is.
I like what you said, doing what is right for you, because one exercise or one type of a program may not fit everyone's need and requirement and outcome. Similarly, one diet does not fit all.
Yeah.
So if XYZ person has started a certain meal plan, it may not really work well for me because my goals are different. My output, what I want at the end of the day, is very different. We're still speaking about food and what food does to us, and a lot of times there is mindless eating that happens.
Yeah. So, we have normalized mindless eating.
And can you help us understand in simpler words how and what?
So, like now, it's normal. People have normalized eating a pack of chips in one go, eating a breakfast of going to Starbucks, having a frappe and a cake as a breakfast is normalized, right? You should not stigmatize it, right? But at the same time, it is not normal, healthy eating, and that is not the right thing to eat. Once in a while, it's absolutely fine. But when you say that this is how it should be,
Lifestyle.
and now questioning this is also like looked down. Oh, I mean, you can't question somebody's choices on this, right? We are not questioning, of course. I mean, it's their life, their choices. But at the end of the day, it's about being responsible to yourself and not live in the moment all the time when it comes to that.
YOLO.
Right.
Yeah.
Think a little bit too in the future, right? What you put in the body and how it's gonna affect you on a long run. That's a little bit of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a loosely used word per se, but at the end of the day, it's that, right?
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, see, all of these things come from two or three aspects, right? The first is that most of the population, the general population or Gen Pop as I call it, is blissfully ignorant. They don't
Yeah.
know what's good for them and what's wrong for them. They hear stuff like avocado and they think it's great to have it and having copious amounts of that. Just the other day, I met somebody who was supposedly on a diet. He had one big plate of breakfast with some paneer, bhuji and stuff. He had an avocado and toast. So 4 slices of bread with that, 2 slices of avocado toast and an avocado smoothie. And I was just meeting him and I just put it into my app, into our app, in the Alpha Coach app, and I just showed him that he had 950 calories for breakfast before 10:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And he said that he's allowed 2,000 calories. I said, now do you know? So A, he doesn't know what's good for him. B, they obviously never track it.
Yeah.
So they don't have any clue about
Yeah.
how much they've actually eaten, even if they did know that it was good or bad or whatever. And the third is the willingness to change, right? Do they firmly believe, do they firmly want it? Like readiness to change as Vishnu talks about. And the second is, do they believe it's in their power to actually do it?
But it's very difficult for a layman to constantly keep thinking about how many calories I've eaten, to track all of that. And let's be very honest, it's not an easy task when you're living a life where there is high pressure jobs. You're running from point A to point B, and especially in a fast competitive world. I know, yes, you're right when you said it depends on what your outcome is, what your output is, or what goal you want to achieve in life. Obviously, if I want to do a photo shoot, I will track my calories.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I want to look a certain way for XYZ project, which demands me to be in front of a camera and I need a certain body type, I will track my calories. But if somebody is just looking at leading a healthy life, that becomes really difficult. And it's not, I think
really.
you can't sustain
No,
it.
Not
no.
really. Not
Why?
really.
But I
not
mean-
really. I disagree on that point because it's all about you do a lot of other things which take a lot more effort in your day-to-day life, right? It's about how much you want certain things, right, to get it done.
Right.
And it is not difficult to log your breakfast. It will take less than a minute, and if you're looking at lunch, dinner, snack, everything 4 minutes in a day. And it's hard to believe when somebody says I don't have 4 minutes to do it in a day, right? And it's all excuses to not do certain things. So even though I am all in favor, and I talk a lot about helping people fit programs to do their lifestyle. But if these are like bare minimum basics, right? It does not take so much effort. It's just I think people finding excuses to not do things.
See, the thing is about tracking, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is a tough behavior to adopt, for sure. Because people, just feel, how as kids they said, don't count kitna chapati khaya.
Yeah.
हाँ यार, मतलब
Right?
हम Indian household से आते हैं.
Right?
आप
We
दिखाओगे
were
तो-
forbidden to count.
Yeah.
Or anybody told us, ki stop, you had 5 chapatis or whatever. Our mothers would say, listen, let him eat. Right? Or let her eat, whatever, right? At the end of the day, it was all about eating heartily. That was great when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Now we've grown. Now the problem is we start to grow, horizontally. And that's sort of, if you don't track it. Now, about tracking food, it's not, you may come across as eccentric, but you're not eccentric. You're just paying attention to what you're doing. It's the same thing in a business where like in say in digital marketing, what is your ROAS, right? Revenue on ad spend or return on ad spend. You know how it is your cost per lead. You know everything. You have to track certain metrics that will allow you to know whether the plan is working or not.
Yeah, but they're growing or not? What is
I
happening?
mean, whatever, right? So, is there a metric that you need to track in food? Yes, you need to log your foods. If you have an app that allows you to simply, look up a certain food, add the measure, and put it, it is not eccentric to do it. And like Vishnu said, I think honestly, I would have said 2.5 minutes but that I've been doing it for years. But somebody who's new could take 5 minutes to do it. You spend 10 times as much or maybe 20 times as much on social media.
No, or just scrolling Netflix and checking कि मुझे आज क्या देखना है. What do I have to
That's what I was actually about to say at that point, that you actually pay more attention to what series or movie that you'd want and have a strong opinion on that than you would into what you put into your body.
Yeah.
That I find, quite reverse.
I,
Is what it should
to
be.
a certain extent, yes, I'm still not very, very convinced because I feel that it is a difficult process. But both the arguments that y'all placed in front of me right now, yes, maybe you're right. I spend a lot of time just checking out मुझे कौन सी series देखनी है. What do I watch next? I spend about 25 minutes just planning what series I'm going to watch. And then I get into it for the first 5-10 minutes. I'm like, okay, let's change. And I'm spending the next 25 minutes figuring out what I want to watch again.
So it's I agree that it's a hard habit to adopt. Let's
Right.
say, for example, why not start logging just one meal a day? So you're building awareness around, how much calories actually go in. Like the example he said, you log in that breakfast, you realize you have eaten 900 calories of supposedly all healthy food, but that's that much calories. You suddenly get an awareness, right?
Right.
So that will be an aha moment, right? You do it one meal a day. Start with that. It's understanding and education for you to make better choices.
No, see, I like what you said. It's about, it's for you to understand so that you can make a better lifestyle or food choices.
Yeah.
But hey, man, let's all face it. I've had my struggle with food, and let's be honest, I was at a point where I was ripped because my lifestyle initially was that of an athlete. I used to play sport. I was professionally dancing, so my body type was that.
Yeah.
I could burn calories. I was, I would work out for those many hours. That bit stopped. And obviously I made some other lifestyle choices, and those lifestyle choices included having some rum over the weekend and probably nursing that with some other alcohol to get the hangover out. And
Don't miss the chakna.
Yeah. How can, come on, you have to have chakna, otherwise the alcohol doesn't go down. And some bad food choices, which I agree. But then after that, I did struggle. And it was hard. I have also gone on this whole bandwagon of saying that, hey man, I don't touch carbs, man. I'm off carbs, bro. And to a certain extent, that sounded cool.
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't touch carbs. But then when I started studying my own body and understanding, and that obviously takes time, and that's a process.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with a coach. It happens with you figuring out things for yourself, what works well for you, what doesn't work well for you. Obviously, you need mentorship and coaching and all of that. But this whole trend, I don't do carbs, bro. I'm off carbs, bro. But you need carbs, even to lose weight. So can you tell us about this whole trend of I'm off carbs, bro?
So, unless you are on a consistent calorie surplus, neither carbohydrates or fats or protein is not going to make you put on weight or make you put on fat per se. Context matters here. In India, we are a carbohydrate heavy diet per se.
Exactly.
If you go to a kitchen, you see largely carbohydrates, right?
Rice.
Yeah. So
Staple.
So to make blanket statements like carbohydrate make you fat is incorrect and very wrong, and it's just a trend. It's a fad diet for the time being. But low carb diet can be used as a tool in certain scenarios. So context matters. Can I eat? Should I eat 50 grams of carb post workout? Depends. Depends on the type of workout you did, whether you require that kind of glycogen replenishment. All those matter. So context matters. There'll be times where you deploy zero carb diet, times you deploy low carb diet, but we can't make blanket statement like one macronutrient is bad or make you fat.
I think all of these diets and programs that are sold, I think they should come with that disclaimer as don't try this alone at home. Have an expert guide you honestly, because like you said, there are a million different variables. There are a million different scenarios in which various kinds of diets are deployed. And that needs to be done under some sort of supervision, because it's tough for a layman to really get it and do it.
Also, the challenge is people have developed this anxiety around eating carbs as well.
I think carbs have been stigmatized.
Yeah, it has been.
And why do you think this anxiety? I have faced it. So I'm genuinely asking you this because, should I, if I've eaten this, and then, went to the mirror, checked, And
Uh-huh.
that's I'm being very honest, man. I've
Yeah.
eaten my carbs. I felt I've overloaded slightly with the carb bit, and then I've gone to the mirror, check, "Arey, theek hai,
Yeah.
kuch." And it can
So
sound
so
ridiculous.
it's a very complex problem. It's more of a good food, bad food mindset that people have developed over years, and you cannot change that like overnight with one statement or anything like that, right? So the problem with the good food, bad food mindset is you develop very unhealthy relationship with food in general, right? And you need to understand that every food has a function, right? Let's forget healthy, unhealthy. Let's take again Indian context. Food is emotion, culture, love, a lot more. Like even alcohol, for that matter, right? You celebrate. Celebration is food, right? Now, for that particular occasion, it's fine. Let's say. Laddus, for that matter, mom made laddus at home. It's mom's love for people. You can't not say no to that for a lot of people. You can eat one laddu, but when you go and eat a pack of box of laddus, then that's a problem, right? It's again comes down to whether you let your emotions and circumstances take control of your diet. But with this good food, bad food mindset, you're constantly in a struggle whole
You're on
day.
guilt, no? I mean, after
You're on a
eating that
guilt.
one laddu,
Yeah.
I faced
A
that.
guilt. You get on guilt trips, and then you go to guilt cardio. You do guilt workouts. Sometimes anyway I've eaten a laddu, and let me just give up. Next 2 days I'm gonna go off.
Or I've eaten
Right.
one laddu, let me finish a box of laddus.
Laddus,
Yeah.
yeah. So once you can get off that mindset, it's hard. It is hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. That's a big flip. It's a big change, right? You realize that you can eat stuff in moderation, and in the larger scheme of things, eating one laddu is not going to make any difference. But it's all about what you do 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So you start. You can't take things.
Yeah.
I mean, small things can't determine the whole, right? So you
Yeah.
can't work or live for that exception or plan for the exception. So, like you said, the one laddu is not going to determine how your body will look. So will that one slice of pizza. So will that one drink over the weekend, etc., etc. But if you make a majority of it, or even not a majority, or a substantial portion of it, start to become unhealthy, start to become that you're binging all the time, start to become not even unhealthy foods, but foods that may not be good for you at that point of time for your goal, then obviously you're going to fall off the wagon, fall off track, etc., etc. So it's the same weekend mentality, right? What people this thing is, what about Friday night?
Yeah.
What about Saturday night? What about Sunday afternoon? Everything's an occasion. But if you ever do the math from Friday, people are always on track between Monday morning, because Monday,
Big day.
big day, and Friday afternoon, suddenly they're like, okay, weekend started. But that's 60% of the week, and the weekend is 40% of the week, 2.5 on 7, right? And if you're messing around, okay, for the lack of any other better word, with 40% of your struggle, or rather 40% of your journey, if you're messing around, you're obviously going to take either far too long to get there, or eventually, because you're not making progress fast enough, you'll fall off.
Yeah.
Right? Think of yourself studying for a competitive exam, or having a tough deadline, or whatever at work that I keep talking about, or on investing, right? And 60% to do well, right? Or when we were children, when we had an exam coming up, and we said, no, Monday to Friday we'll study, but Friday afternoon or Friday evening till Sunday night we're only going to play.
Right.
I don't think anybody would have accepted that.
Yeah.
Right.
Not my dad,
No,
for
neither-
sure.
no, same here.
Right?
My mom's a teacher. She wouldn't allow that, bro.
Great. My mom's a teacher. My mom was a
studied
teacher
on
too. early
vacations
days.
also, bro.
Exactly. So there has to be a consistent level of effort,
Yeah.
but as long as it's 80-20, 90-10, whatever floats your boat or whatever ratio works for you, it needs to be a high degree of staying sustainable and staying on track. And a little bit that does happen, because you can't take everything seriously also, unless you're obviously, I mean, people who have their livelihoods built around this, like bodybuilders, they can't mess up
Actors.
even 1%.
Yeah,
Actors,
yeah.
models, sportsmen,
Yeah.
whatever, right? Athletes, their livelihood, their careers, their entire passion and work depends on it, so they can't mess around with it. Or for example, say you are on a tight deadline and say, I'm going to get married in 3 months, or if I want to do a photo shoot because I really want to do it once in my life. Then we'd advise, then listen, don't do 80-20, don't do 90-10, maybe do 95-5.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you will have the 5% slip up, whatever you try. But for everybody else, It's more about the long game. It's more about there is no specific deadline. It's nice to have many goals and many deadlines for sure.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's okay to do 80-20 because you want to live, you want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And the more you enjoy the process, the end destination doesn't feel like a task, right? I mean, it doesn't feel so far away because
Yeah,
you're
the
enjoying the
process.
process itself.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
day is that many steps. I'm going to eat great food. I'm feeling grateful
Right,
about it. All
right,
of that stuff.
right.
That process is important.
Very interestingly put. It's so important to understand and enjoy the process. Also, depends what your goal is. I'm constantly saying this. Depends what your goal is. Like what you guys do in Alpha Coach. Depends what the goal is. If,
Yeah.
for example, I want to get this photo shoot done at the end of 3 months, and,
Yeah.
and I sign up and say, hey man, this is my goal. This is my target. I want to look a certain way. I've always been into the fitness industry. I've worked out. I train. I play football. Then I know my goal would be 95-5, wherein I'm saying, okay, 95%, we focus 5%. I know there's going to be a slip up. Whereas for somebody new who's joining or subscribing to the platform, maybe depending on what they want to achieve, maybe depending on where they want to be, you
Yeah.
will tell them what they need to do.
Yeah,
Correct.
for some people like that, they just want to lose a little bit of weight. They want to be able to manage it better. They want to start being a little more thoughtful that they feel they've neglected. Right?
Right.
And a lot of these people are high performers in their own industry. They're high achievers. But when it comes to health and fitness, they feel like, oh my God, I've completely slipped up on this. I have not given. Why can't I do this as well as that, right?
Yeah.
So they now want to start saying, let's start taking a little this thing. They've made money, they've got fame, they've got success, they have great families, they've got great amount of social life. But somewhere they feel that they've neglected this. Now, what if they could be high performers in this? So what we call in our corporate plans and stuff is high performance for high performers. So why can't we get them sort of doing well in this as well, right? So these are not people for photo shoots. These are people who want to manage it better. They want more energy. They want to just look slightly better. They want to fit into the older clothes.
Yeah.
They don't want to be intimidated when they go to the swimming pool and having to wear the t-shirts on and get in the pool. They want to be able to build some confidence, right?
Yeah.
And then in any case, right, even if you're not highly successful already, just doing these certain things right feels like you're winning in one area of life. Suddenly you become confident about winning in other areas. Go out and crack a sales deal, right? You suddenly start to believe that
You can.
You can, right?
can, yeah.
And that's
You
so
start-
important.
It's so important to believe before you even start
sorry,
anything.
sorry.
I think we've covered this in
Yeah,
our one of our things in faith and belief.
yeah.
And I also feel that when you fuel your body correct, food is
Yeah.
fuel because and this relationship with food that you spoke about a while back, I had a bad relationship with food because I would deprive myself at times because I felt like you said good food, bad food concept where I've eaten this, now I'm going to lose my abs, I've
Yeah,
done this,
yeah.
I'm going to put on a little bit. It's a very hard mindset to get out of.
Yeah.
But I've made my peace with it. I've understood it. And I'm sure for you also in your journey with food.
Absolutely.
Bro, you were 90 plus, man.
Yeah.
And then to come to this shape, you've had that struggle. You've gone through that path. And it's not an easy journey. It's never going to be easy. It's going to be tough.
We call it a domino effect here, right? Basically, it's like stacking up dominoes, right?
Right.
You use a 2-inch. There's a theory that if you use a 2-inch domino, and a 2-inch domino can actually knock off a 3-inch domino 1.5 times its size. If you stack it up, the 23rd domino will be it will generate a force enough to topple a domino as high as Eiffel Tower. So there is proven theory, right? It's called the
Right.
domino effect, right? So it works in fitness very well. In a sense, you start with really small habits. Like I remember, Glenn, you were saying that you had a big appetite, right? Like somebody with a big appetite, you don't suddenly put them on a extreme portion control program. They won't survive on it. You might as well start with somebody asking them to eat slowly. We have discussed this long back in our
Yes,
previous
eating slowly.
and see what happens. Usually, when you start eating slowly, you normally tend to eat lesser than what you normally do. We have a trainee who lost 18 kilograms over 6 months without being on any diet. Just practice 2 things: eating slowly and eating up to 80% fullness. This is a hard
Portion control.
so it's actually not really portion control. It's basically developing appetite awareness, and it's a hard thing. But these are small habits. But this will have snowball
domino
into will have a domino effect, and it can topple bigger things. And that when you do that, that builds so many other things. That growth is not just about physical; it's also internal.
It's about the whole consciousness of things, right? You are, you know what meditation they talk about, being doing meditating, you sort of become one with your consciousness. You are sort of being still, you are aware of your surroundings. And all of these habits, because others are doing it and there's a party and there's drinks flowing around, you feel you need to do it.
Yeah.
And that is not being aware.
Yeah.
That is being mindless a little bit, right? You're not mindful.
Yeah.
The same thing with just because it's an office party and everybody's partaking in some pizza and stuff like that. Like you would have, like you said, pizza is really your
Go-to.
your go-to, your weakness or whatever, right? And but you don't want to be the guy who has carried his dabba, right? Or the guy who's sort of eating a salad while everybody's, eating all of that. So the idea
You have
is
carried dabbas to parties, bro.
I've done it. Yeah. So it's and yeah. So that's what I'm talking about, right? If you know what's good for you, and that's what I'm saying, without even throwing any jargon, this thing. If you know what's good for you, know that you have a certain goal, you have to achieve it. Nobody else going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
nobody's
one
gonna do
else.
it for you, man.
So you got to do what it takes to get there. It's that simple, right? And if you're training for a marathon, you can't be missing your training sessions.
Yeah.
Simple. If you're training, if you're going to go and close a deal the next morning and you're hungover and had a drink till like 4 or 5 or a bunch of drink till 4 or 5 a.m., obviously not going to happen, right? Like I told you, I had a party last night. I skipped it to
Because you had
record
to be
this.
here.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have made it, right? So it's about just doing what's right for you at that point of time, and that's what we would, in layman terms, call being mindful, being thoughtful, being conscious of your.
Just being
decisions.
aware. जो तुमको चाहिए उसे achieve करने के लिए, just being aware.
Yeah.
Not asking you to make some drastic changes and have a complete paradigm shift in your lifestyle or whatever, but just small changes like what you said, the domino effect.
So coaching is that. Coaching is basically helping people being mindful. But like I said earlier, mindfulness and awareness is now used a lot as words, but it's about how to be mindful. It's a process. It require coaching. It will require time. Like when you say eat to 80% fullness. Now, what is 80% fullness? I mean, the first question that people ask is, I eat 4 chapati. Is it like eating 3 chapati? It is not. Right, it's about you developing an appetite awareness. So we teach people around stuff like 100% plus fullness is when you eat a meal and you feel lethargic, you want to go to sleep, you feel tired. That means you're 100% plus full.
Right.
But you eat till the level where you feel energized to go for a 10-minute walk. That's probably 80% fullness. How do you crack yours? How do you feel after a meal? So it's a learning process, right? Now, this is coaching somebody to become mindful. This is one habit I said, right? We can break it down to 40, 50 different habits, and you stack it up for someone and help them build skills to track that and do that effectively. They become on their own. They will not need a coach anymore, right?
Wow.
This has actually been productized by us. We actually have a phase which is called reset.
Yeah.
When anybody who joins in, depending on whether they're a ranked beginner or
Wait,
they've
if
been doing
they,
something.
Subscribe to the
For the Alpha Coach thing,
platform.
right? Yeah. So the thing is that we want a person to reset first. Whether he's a rank beginner and done nothing, then he may be given a set of good habits. If there's somebody who's been there, done that for years, but struggling to find that breakthrough or not seeing results, then we may probably tell him to unlearn a few habits and then start at a point where we think, okay, now that person is primed to start counting calories, to this thing. The first 2 months, 1 month, whatever it takes for that person to reset. Again, that's also very customized, right? Your reset and my reset can't be the same.
Absolutely.
So it could be 2 weeks, it could be 4 weeks, it could be 6 weeks, but we'd have different habits given to us. Like you said, 80% fullness is one, eating slowly is one, reading food labels is another, eating a salad twice a week is another, hydrating, getting into certain sort of steps. There are at least, that I as a layman can say 10, 15 like that, and then he's broken it down into layers for each thing as well, right?
Okay.
So the idea is that one needs to ease into the whole thing and not fall prey to. So here's the thing. I don't know. You might find it familiar. This is what happens, right? Typically, the first time we ever do something, especially the first time, and it actually helps, is that we'll all do the basics, right? We'll start getting more active. We'll start eating cleaner food. We'll say, let's cut out the processed food, fried food nahi khayenge, all of that. Sugar come, right? Stop taking sugar in my tea.
Absolutely.
Right? All of those first things, beautiful. Okay, fine. Let's start off. With that limited knowledge and limited this thing, you start seeing progress. You may not know exactly what actually clicked, which part of it clicked, but you start seeing some progress. After a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you suddenly start seeing a dip in progress. Now you don't know what to do next, right? Then you start saying, "Acha, theek hai. This is good. I've lost those 4-5 kgs. Probably the guy has to lose, or person has to lose 15 kgs, right? But the person says, okay, I've achieved a good goal.
Right.
Now let me reward myself. Now there's a birthday coming up, there's a party coming up, there's whatever, right? There's a vacation coming up, and then you get back into your whole days. Then you start thinking, oh my god, now all the weight I lost,
I've regained it or double.
regained it, or maybe more, or a part of it, or the same weight, right? And you start thinking, yeah, this diet is not for me.
Chhod de.
Nah, this thing. Then you again slack it off. Again, you this thing. The whole year goes by. Back to resolutions. 1st Jan, Monday, whatever comes back. Then you start again. But now you're not starting the first time. Now you're jaded, saying that didn't work for me. The basics didn't work for me. Right? So what do you start thinking? Now you start looking for slim teas. Now you start looking for boot camps. You start looking for these crazy challenges. Now you start looking for caffeine pills or fat burners. Right? And you start doing that. That gives you an extreme high and an extreme crash very quickly, or they don't work at all because they are, I don't know, whatever, right? They're just not meant for that. Or you try very cool diets which have cool names because they cut out various things and stuff like that, right? And none of that works again. You again crash and you again go back to your old ways. Now you've been damaged, so to speak, twice over. And on multiple times, because every time you didn't try the same thing. You tried one
Different
or two
things
of these.
and none of
So
them
over
work.
years, nothing worked, and you start to believe this is not for me at all. Right?
Yeah.
So, but that was not us. How did I break through? Was exactly that. I emptied my cup, found a coach who can help, and then did the basics right again.
Yeah.
And I gave it enough time for it to succeed. That's the only thing that works.
Also with the coach and somebody to mentor you, you obviously had the right direction.
Yeah, because think of it like traveling down a highway, right? You need to slow down sometimes. There are tolls. You can't blast through. Just because you've achieved 100 kilometers an hour, you can't keep going at that speed.
Right.
There are times you need to slow down.
Right.
Sometimes you need to speed up. Sometimes you need to go into the left lane, stay in the same lane, etc., etc. Right. Sometimes there are ghats that come up. You need to drive
Right,
slowly.
right.
It's a winding road. Who tells you that? Somebody has to tell you that, right? You can't see it in your own fitness journey. Somebody who's been there, done that, can foresee it. Or when you come to it and ask them a question, say, listen, at this point, this is what you do.
Yeah.
Imagine being in a country you've never been to. How do you go there?
Yeah.
You need a map, you need a guide.
Navigation.
You need navigation, you need a guide, right? What is that guide? That's a coach.
In order to have a healthy body and a healthy mind, you don't have to deprive yourself of food. In fact, you just have to eat right. Be aware of what you're eating and understand the balance and understand what you want to achieve. And this comes with practice. It's absolutely not easy. It's very easy to sit here and preach because we've gone through that road, that journey ourselves and walked that journey ourselves. And each of us have had our own little struggle and we've figured out when, how, what, and failed multiple times. Like you're the founder of this application, this fitness app, and you yourself have failed so many times with regards to
Yeah, I
diets
mean,
and all that.
that's what I failed all the times that I tried to look for these quick hacks, and I failed all the times that I was chasing rainbows. But it doesn't work that way. You have to understand what it takes and do what it takes. It's your health. It's not a movie on an OTT platform, right? It is your health. It's your lifelong health. It's not just look great in a photo next week or on the beach in your vacation next month or even after 3 months. The idea is that you are putting your body through a lot of stress when you undergo these things, right? So, I mean, would you want to do it in a manner that is done slowly but surely, rather than trying to rush things and, mess something up even more dearly, right, at that point of time? So that is very, it's this, the other thing is, this is completely unrelated, right? This is a book called The Hard Things About Hard Things. And he talks about the types of CEOs and the average or mediocre CEOs there who have made it. Okay, successful people who have made it, but they were average or just okay. And every time they made it, they were asked, what was the secret to your success? And they talk about the one decision they made, or the one idea they got, or that one deal that cracked it. Right? And but the great CEOs, the people who've survived through multiple, seasons of change and this and that, and actually done far and become the largest impacting organizations, those CEOs just said, you know what, I just stuck in till it worked. I just persisted. I had the grit to make sure I stayed on till it actually worked. I just stayed a little longer than the other guy. That's
Gotta
it.
persist long
People
enough.
people kind of stop believing in process. Like Ketan taught us told about this diets. The biggest toll is on the mind. When you try multiple things and you lose multiple times, it take a toll on your mind. You stop believing in, even in if you take it on a slow habit based approach, you stop believing in it. It doesn't work, and I want results now, right? You need to be through that process for 3 months, 6 months, one go. Be at it and trust the process to kind of come out of it successfully. And the center of it should be the health, right? Any program you get to do, you need to look at it from a perspective that is the central element of this program focusing on my health. Am I having deep crashes? Is my senses working fine? Am I having mood swings? Will I be able to sustain it for so long, right? So if the central element of your program or nutrition plan is focused on your deep health, and then have everything else work around that, then it is easier to sustain for long and be through it for a longer period of time and come out successful.
Quite interesting, interesting insights on food and how food affects our overall well-being. I mean, we all know, jaisa khaoge waisa banoge. We've heard this time and again. So, diet is not equal to deprivation. And yes, I take my words back, boys, on what I had said, that it is a tough process to log in your food and all of this. I think if you want something, you want to achieve something, you will have to put in the work, because anything that you want to achieve in life doesn't come easy, comes with a little bit of an effort. And when you put that effort and you see that result of what you've worked for,
Right? The fruits of your labor
Absolutely.
can only be had after you've done the labor.
Yeah.
Right? So it's have to do a little bit of labor to get that. It's meaningful labor that you're doing for your own wellness,
Right.
and your well-being,
Right.
and you'll get the fruits of your labor. I mean, that's really what it is.
Absolutely. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Glenn Sildana, Ketan and Vishnu. This is the Alpha Coach Podcast. We're signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.